The blade kissed her skin 3 times before Selena Johansson understood they weren't going to stop. Not the beta holding her down in the ceremonial dirt. Not the elders forming the circle, their faces carved from judgment and ancient law. Not Declan Pitt, the alpha she'd loved since she was 9 years old, the one whose scent used to make her wolf sing before it abandoned her, standing at the edge of the firelight with her sister's hand already claimed in his. The mark of the moonless. 3 curved lines carved into the hollow of her throat, just deep enough to scar, not deep enough to kill. A brand that would tell every wolf who saw her, this one was rejected by the moon herself. Selena didn't scream. She'd promised herself that much. She counted the stars instead, 18 of them visible through the smoke, 1 for each year she'd waited for a wolf that never came. When they finally released her, when the pack turned away like she'd already stopped existing, she walked to the mountain ash grove at the territory's edge and cauterized the wound herself. The smell of her own burning flesh mixed with the bitter smoke, and somewhere deep in her chest, something that had been holding on finally let go. She left before dawn. No goodbyes. No last looks at the only home she'd ever known. 3 days later, walking a highway with dried blood still flaking at her collar, the letter found her. It arrived in the hands of a lawyer so old he might have known her grandmother when she was young, a man who smelled like dust and secrets and something else. Something that made the hair on Selena's arms stand up even though her wolf was gone, even though she shouldn't be able to sense anything anymore. Your grandmother, he said, not meeting her eyes, left you the mountain house. Selena stared at the yellowed envelope, at the handwriting she recognized from birthday cards that always arrived exactly 3 days late, always smelling of lavender and wood smoke. Her grandmother. The strange old woman the pack whispered about like a curse. The one who'd lived alone for 60 years on the forbidden mountain where even the bravest wolves refused to hunt. Dead. And she'd left everything to the granddaughter she'd seen maybe 5 times in 18 years. The deed was simple, a house, 40 acres, mineral rights to a mountain no one wanted. But tucked inside, written on paper so old it felt like fabric, was a note in her grandmother's cramped, urgent script. Do not go inside after dark. Do not speak your name aloud. If the floor grows warm beneath your feet, run. Selena went at midnight. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Cindy's Wolfheart Stories. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Seriously, it helps more than you know. The path to the mountain house wasn't on any map. Selena found it by memory, or something like memory. A pull in her chest that felt almost like her missing wolf, almost like instinct, leading her off the main road and onto a trail so overgrown it barely existed. The mist came down as soon as she entered the tree line, thick and cold, moving against the wind like something alive. The trees here grew wrong. Twisted. Their roots plunged into the earth at impossible angles, like they were holding something down. Or trying to. She walked for an hour or two. Time felt strange here, elastic. The mist swallowed sound, swallowed distance. But when she finally saw the house through the trees, she knew it immediately. Not from the handful of childhood visits she barely remembered, but from something deeper. Something in her blood that recognized it. The house was smaller than she remembered. One story, wood gone gray with age, windows dark as closed eyes. But when Selena approached the door, when she lifted her hand to knock, the door opened before she could touch it. Not blown by wind. Not left unlatched. Opened. Warm air breathed out from inside, carrying the scent of lavender and old paper and something underneath, something mineral and deep, like the smell of caves or the moment before lightning strikes. Selena's hand went to her throat, to the fresh scars still tender beneath the bandage she'd wrapped that morning. Do not go inside after dark. It was well past midnight. She stepped inside anyway. The house swallowed her whole. Inside, everything was exactly as her grandmother had left it. A single room that served as kitchen, bedroom, and study all at once. Books everywhere, stacked in towers, spread open on every surface, their pages covered in that same cramped handwriting. The walls were carved with symbols Selena didn't recognize, geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly, that seemed to shift when she glanced away. Salt lines ran along every window. Dried herbs hung from the rafters in bundles so old they'd turned to dust. And on the floor, Selena's breath caught. On the floor was a circle, 10 feet across, burned into the ancient wood like a brand. And radiating out from it, like spokes on a wheel, were hundreds of lines of text. Her grandmother's handwriting, carved directly into the floorboards with what must have been a blade or chisel. The same phrase, repeated over and over and over. Forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me. Selena knelt at the edge of the circle, her fingers hovering over the carved words. The wood was warm. Not sun-warmed. Not fire-warmed. Alive. She jerked her hand back, but it was too late. The moment her fingertips made contact, something pulsed through the floor. Deep. Rhythmic. Like a heartbeat that wasn't hers, that had been beating long before she arrived, that would keep beating long after she left. Except she could feel it inside her chest. Not her own heart. A second one. Ancient and vast, and so steady it felt like the turning of the earth itself. Selena stumbled backward, her breath coming fast, her hand pressed to her sternum like she could reach inside and pull the feeling out. What? The house groaned. Not the creak of old wood settling. A groan. Like something massive shifting its weight after a long sleep. The walls shuddered. The candles she hadn't lit suddenly flared to life, their flames burning blue-white instead of gold. And then the visions came. They hit her like a fist, like falling through ice. A woman young, beautiful, her eyes wild with grief, kneeling in a chamber carved from living stone. Her hands glow as she etches symbols into the rock, symbols that burn like brands, that smell like burning hair and breaking bones. She's weeping, but she doesn't stop. Can't stop. Below her, chained to the floor with silver so thick it's grown into his skin like roots, a man lies perfectly still. His chest barely rises. His eyes are closed. But even unconscious, even bound, his power is immense, a presence so vast it makes the stone tremble, makes the silver chains sing with strain. I'm sorry, the woman whispers, carving another symbol, then another. Her fingers are bleeding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so. The man's eyes snap open. They are molten gold, burning with intelligence and fury that hasn't dimmed in 200 years of darkness. When he speaks, his voice is thunder contained in a human throat. You think you can hold me forever, little moon-blessed? You think your bloodline is strong enough? The woman doesn't answer. Just keeps carving. Keeps weeping. Keeps feeding her own life force into the seal, aging a decade in the space of a breath. I will wait, he says, and his smile is terrible. I am patient. And when the last of you dies, when the blood runs thin enough, there will always be one more, the woman gasps. Always. I'll make sure. Then I'll wait for her too. His eyes find the woman's, and something passes between them, recognition, maybe. Or prophecy. Tell me, does she know? The last daughter. Does she know what you've made her? The vision shattered. Selena came back to herself on her hands and knees, gasping, the taste of copper in her mouth. The candles had gone out. The house was dark except for the moonlight bleeding through the windows. No, not moonlight. The floor. The burned circle was glowing, a soft, pulsing light emanating from the carved wood like bioluminescence, like the deep-sea creatures that make their own light in places the sun will never reach. And beneath her hands, the floor was growing warm. If the floor grows warm beneath your feet, run. Selena should have run. Should have grabbed the deed, the letter, everything that proved this inheritance was real, and gotten as far from this mountain as her legs could carry her. Instead, she pressed both palms flat against the glowing circle and reached. She didn't know what she was reaching for. Didn't have a name for it. But somewhere deep in that empty space where her wolf used to be, something stirred. Something that recognized the heartbeat coming from below, that knew it the way a key knows a lock it was cut for. "Show me," she thought. "Show me what you are." The house answered. Images flooded her mind, not a vision this time, but memory. Her grandmother's memories, carved into the very bones of this place. 60 years of ritual. 60 years of feeding power into failing seals. 60 years of aging faster than any wolf should, dying by inches to keep him buried. A daughter born not from love but necessity. A continuation of the bloodline. A living insurance policy. That daughter dying young, too young, in childbirth, leaving behind an infant girl with her grandmother's eyes. The old woman taking that baby, taking Selena and hiding her. Giving her to a pack that would never value her, never see her, never understand what she carried in her blood. Better to be invisible than important. Better to be rejected than remembered. The mark of the moonless wasn't cruelty. It was camouflage. Selena's breath came in sharp, painful gasps. Her hands were shaking against the floor, and the warmth was spreading up her arms, into her chest, filling that hollow space where her wolf used to be with something else. Something older. "No," she whispered. But her voice had no conviction. Because she could feel him now. Not just his heartbeat. Him. His consciousness, vast and patient, stirring in the deep, dark miles below her. Waking. Turning its attention upward like a flower seeking sun. And when he sensed her, when he tasted her bloodline in the air, recognized the blood that had kept him chained for 2 centuries, his power pulsed once. Once. The mountain trembled. Every candle in the house exploded, glass and wax spraying across the floor. And far away, miles away in 3 different territories, every alpha lifted their head at the exact same moment, their wolves bristling with an instinct they couldn't name, a frequency they hadn't heard since the oldest, darkest legends. Something forbidden has woken. Selena collapsed on the floor of her grandmother's house, her forehead pressed to the warm wood, and felt the silver chains in her mind like strings she could pull if she dared. Below, so far below, the mountain should have been solid stone, eyes of molten gold opened for the first time in 200 years. And a voice like thunder pressed against her thoughts. "Hello, little luck. I've been waiting for you." Selena woke to sunlight burning through the windows, and the smell of her own fear dried into her clothes. She was still on the floor. Still inside the circle. Her palms were blistered where they'd pressed against the glowing wood, the burns forming patterns that looked almost deliberate, like the symbols carved into the walls, like something had been trying to write itself into her skin. The house was silent now. Cold. The candles were puddles of wax, the glass scattered like fallen stars. If not for the burns on her hands and the ache in her bones, she could almost convince herself it had been a dream. Almost. But the heartbeat was still there. Faint now, distant, like hearing the ocean from miles inland. But there. Steady as gravity, pulling at something deep in her chest. "Hello, little luck." She could still hear his voice. Feel the weight of those eyes, gold and ancient and aware, fixing on her like she was the first interesting thing he'd seen in centuries. Selena pushed herself up, her body protesting every movement. Her throat ached where the mark of the moonless was still healing, and when she touched it, her fingers came away clean, but the scars felt different. Warmer. Like they'd absorbed some of the heat from the floor. She needed answers. And her grandmother, the woman who'd spent 60 years of her life keeping him buried, had left them here. The journals were everywhere. Hundreds of them, dating back decades, their pages covered in that cramped, obsessive handwriting. Selena grabbed the nearest one, her hands shaking, and opened it at random. Day 3847. The chains held through the winter. I felt him testing them in February, probing for weaknesses while the full moon made me careless. I reinforced the northwestern anchor. Cost me another year. My hands look like my mother's now. Selena flipped back, found an earlier entry. Day 1205. Margaret came to visit. Brought her daughter, my granddaughter. For years old, eyes like mine, like my mother's. Like the moon herself. Margaret wants to know why I won't leave the mountain. I can't tell her. Can't tell anyone. He'd use it. Use them. Better they think I'm mad. Another entry, older still. Day 16. Mother died this morning. The seals transferred to me the moment her heart stopped. I felt it like a brand, like inheriting a curse. I'm 23 years old, and I just felt 200 years of accumulated power pressed down on my shoulders like a physical weight. This is my life now. This mountain. This prison. This is all I'll ever be. And on the very first page, in handwriting that was younger, less frantic. My name is Celeste Mirren. I am the 47th guardian of the first Alpha's prison. My mother was the 46th. Her mother before her. This is the legacy of the moon's mercy, to spend our lives as wardens for a crime we didn't commit, holding chains for a prisoner we'll never see. If you're reading this, daughter or granddaughter or whatever comes after, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But you have to understand, he cannot be freed. No matter what he promises. No matter how lonely it gets. No matter how much of your life it costs. He is the reason the moon walks alone now. And if he rises, she will never forgive us. Selena set the journal down with trembling hands. The reason the moon walks alone. She'd heard the legends, the way every wolf pup heard them, bedtime stories about the early days when the moon herself walked among the packs, when she chose the first alpha to bring order to the chaos of territorial wars. He was supposed to be her champion. Her balance. But he wanted more than balance. He wanted dominion. Wanted to bend every alpha to his will, to make himself a god among wolves. So the moon broke him. Shattered his power and sealed it away, buried so deep the world would forget it existed. Except the world hadn't forgotten. One bloodline had remembered. One line of women, passing the burden from mother to daughter for 200 years, dying young to keep him chained. And now that line ended with Selena. The girl no one wanted. The Omega who'd been rejected by her own pack, branded and cast out, who'd come here with nothing but the clothes on her back and scars on her throat. You're not cursed, a voice whispered in her mind, her own voice, but steadier. You're the lock. The key. The chain. You're the only thing standing between the world and him. Selena's laugh came out bitter, breaking. Wrong girl, she said to the empty house. They've got the wrong girl. I can't even shift. Can't even feel my wolf anymore. What the hell am I supposed to do with? The floor pulsed once, warm beneath her feet. She froze. You feel me, though, the voice rumbled up from below, from miles of stone and darkness. Don't you, little lock? You feel me just fine. Stop calling me that, Selena whispered. What should I call you then? Your grandmother never spoke your name aloud. Very wise of her. Names have power here. Selena wrapped her arms around herself, hating how small she felt, how young. I don't want to talk to you. Liar. The word was gentle, almost amused. And worst of all, accurate. Because she did want to talk to him. Wanted to understand what he was, what her grandmother had spent her whole life fighting. Wanted to know why his attention felt less like threat and more like recognition, like he saw something in her the pack had missed. What do you want? She asked finally. Silence. Then, the same thing you do. To be seen. To be understood. To stop being punished for what we are. You're a prisoner. I read the journals. You tried to enslave every pack. I tried to bring order to chaos, he interrupted, and for the first time she heard anger in his voice, cold and controlled, but there. The packs were tearing each other apart. Every alpha fighting for territory, for dominance, for the right to call themselves strongest. Wolves killing wolves over scraps of land while humans hunted us to extinction. I wanted to unify them. Give them structure. Purpose. By forcing them to submit to you. By being stronger than their pride. Yes. No apology in his tone. The moon chose me to lead. Then punished me for leading too well. Selena shook her head, backing away from the circle even though she knew distance wouldn't help. My grandmother spent 60 years keeping you buried. She died for this. I'm not going to. Your grandmother spent 60 years dying alone on a mountain, feeding her life into seals that were failing long before you were born. He cut in, and his voice dropped lower, more intimate. She bore a child she didn't love to continue the bloodline. Watched that child die young. Then hid you, her last hope, among wolves who would mark you as worthless and cast you aside. Tell me, little Locke, what exactly did her sacrifice earn you? What did her noble duty by accept your pain? The words hit like a physical blow. Selena's hand went to her throat, to the scars, and something hot and bitter rose in her chest. That's not she was protecting. She was protecting the world, he agreed. Not you. Never you. You were just another link in the chain. Another sacrifice to the cause. Stop. The pack that raised you, they gave you the mark of the moonless. Carved it into your skin while the alpha you loved watched and did nothing. Where's your loyalty to them? Where's your duty? I said stop. Selena's voice cracked on the last word, and something in the house shifted. The symbols on the walls flared bright for an instant, and she felt the chains below, felt them in her mind, like she could reach down and touch them, shudder and strain. The voice went silent. But she could feel him down there. Waiting. Patient. Like he had all the time in the world because he'd already waited 200 years. What was a little longer? Selena sank down against the wall, her head in her hands. She'd come here with nothing. No pack, no home, no future. Just scars and a piece of paper that said she owned 40 acres of cursed mountain. And now she was supposed to be a warden? A guardian? Supposed to spend the rest of her life the way her grandmother had, alone, aging too fast, holding chains for a prisoner who whispered in her mind and knew exactly how to find the bruises? I don't know what to do, she whispered. The house didn't answer. But the heartbeat pulsed, steady, patient, there, and somehow that was worse than any words. Selena spent the next 3 days learning the house. She didn't have a choice. There was nowhere else to go. The pack wouldn't take her back, and she had exactly $43 in her pocket, not enough to run, not enough to start over, not enough to do anything but survive on the mountain until she figured out what came next. So she read the journals. All of them. 47 generations of women, all writing the same story with different hands. The chains are holding. The chains are failing. I reinforce the seals. I can feel him watching. I'm aging too fast. There's no one to help. I'm so tired. I'm so alone. Forgive me. Her grandmother had been meticulous. Every journal entry was dated, every ritual documented, every failure catalogued. Celeste Mirren had spent 60 years of her life carving symbols into stone, feeding her own life force into failing seals, dying by inches to keep him buried. And it had been failing for decades. The seals were weakening. The silver chains were splitting, one link at a time. Her grandmother had been fighting a losing battle, buying time with her life, knowing that eventually, maybe in her lifetime, maybe in her daughter's, maybe in her granddaughter's, the chains would break completely. That's why she'd hidden Selena with the pack. Not to protect her. To make her invisible. To buy a few more years before the world remembered there was still a living heir, still one more woman who could hold the chains. The Mark of the Moonless had been the perfect cover. Who would look twice at a broken Omega? Who would suspect power in a girl the moon herself had rejected? Clever, Selena murmured, sitting cross-legged in the circle at midnight on the third night. The floor was warm again. It was always warm after dark, like the house itself had a fever. She made me worthless on purpose. Not worthless, the voice corrected. He'd been quiet since that first conversation, but she could feel him, always there, a presence at the back of her mind, watching through the mountain itself. Camouflaged. There's a difference. Not to the pack. The pack is full of fools who couldn't see power if it burned them. You're better off without them. Selena traced one of the symbols carved into the floor, a spiral within a circle, the lines worn smooth by decades of her grandmother's footsteps. My grandmother didn't think so. She thought they'd keep me safe. Your grandmother was desperate. She made the best choice she could with no good options. A pause, and when he spoke again, his voice was softer. She loved you, I think. In her way. She just loved her duty more. Did you know her? When she was young. I knew all of them. Every guardian. I felt them die, one by one, felt the seals transfer from mother to daughter like a brand passing hands. Something like regret colored his words. Your grandmother lasted longer than most. 60 years. I thought she might outlive me, thought her will might be strong enough to hold until the chains finally killed us both. But then I was born. Yes. And now there was something else in his voice, something that made her skin prickle. Then you were born and everything changed. Selena's hand stilled on the carved floor. What do you mean? You really don't know, do you? He sounded almost surprised. Little Locke, you are not like them. Not like the 47 guardians before you. You're... The sound of engines cut through the night. Selena's head snapped up, her entire body going rigid. Engines, multiple vehicles, roaring up the mountain path that wasn't supposed to exist, that was hidden by mist and her grandmother's protections. But the seals were failing. Which meant the protections were failing too. They found you, the voice said, and for the first time, she heard genuine emotion in it, satisfaction. Took them long enough. Who? Selena was already on her feet, her heart hammering. Who found me? Every alpha within 3 territories felt me wake. Felt the pulse when your blood touched the seals. They've been searching for the source for 3 days. The engines were getting closer. Headlights cut through the trees, turning the mist into a wall of light. What do I do? Selena backed toward the far wall, her eyes on the door. That depends. Do you run? Or do you fight? I can't fight. I don't have a wolf, I don't have. You have me. The words hung in the air between them. Outside, the engines cut off. Doors slammed. Voices, male, authoritative, alpha, called out commands. At least 6 of them, maybe more. And they were coming for her. Touch the circle, the voice commanded. Press both hands to the center and open yourself. Let me show you what you can be. I don't trust you. You don't have to trust me. You just have to want to survive. His voice dropped lower, urgent. They will take you, Little Locke. They will drag you before their councils and their elders, and they will try to make you into a weapon they can control. Is that what you want? To go from one cage to another? The front door shook as someone pounded against it. Open up. A man's voice, rough with command. By order of the Territorial Council, this property is under investigation. Come out now or we're coming in. Selena's breath came fast and shallow. Her eyes darted from the door to the circle to the walls covered in her grandmother's desperate warnings. Forgive me, Celeste had written. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. What happens if I touch it? Selena whispered. You'll feel what I feel. See what I see. And for just a moment, just long enough, you'll have what you need to send them away. And then what? You'll be free. One touch won't break 200 years of chains, he said, and she heard the smile in his voice. But it will crack them a little more. And every crack brings me closer to you. The door splintered. Someone was using their shifted strength against it, the wood groaning and splitting. Selena had 3 seconds to decide. 3 seconds to choose between the legacy of 47 dead women and the prisoner they'd died to contain. 3 seconds to decide if she'd rather be a warden or a weapon. She dropped to her knees in the center of the circle and pressed both palms flat against the carved wood. Good girl, the voice purred. And then power erupted. The power hit Selena like lightning channeled through her bones. It roared up from miles below, from the chamber where he lay chained, from 200 years of compressed fury and hunger and will, and poured into her like water finding a crack. Her back arched, her mouth opening in a silent scream as every nerve in her body caught fire. But it wasn't pain. It was awakening. The empty space where her wolf used to be suddenly flooded with something else, something older than pack law, older than the moon's blessing, old as the first wolf that ever looked at the night sky and howled. Her eyes snapped open, and they were burning gold. The door exploded inward. 6 alphas poured through, shifted to their war forms, 7 feet of muscle and fur and fangs, their eyes blazing with territorial fury. The leader was massive, a gray wolf with silver threading his muzzle, and when he saw Selena kneeling in the circle, he snarled. "Get away from that seal, girl, now." Selena stood. The movement was fluid, inhuman, and when she spoke, her voice carried an undertone that made every alpha in the room freeze mid-step. No, not her voice. His voice. Both of them speaking at once, layered like harmonics, like 2 instruments playing the same note in different octaves. The gray alpha's ears flattened against his skull. "What the hell?" "You will leave," Selena said, and the power in her words made the air itself vibrate. "You will forget this place. You will tell no one what you felt. And you will never return." "Like hell we will," another alpha growled, younger, his brown fur bristling with aggression. "You reek of forbidden magic, girl. Whatever you're doing here, it ends." Selena raised one hand. She didn't know what she was doing. Didn't know what instinct moved her arm, what ancient memory guided her fingers into a specific pattern. But when she pushed, when she channeled just a fraction of the power flooding through her, every alpha in the room dropped to their knees. They didn't want to. She could see them fighting it, see their muscles straining, their wolves snarling in rage and confusion. But their bodies wouldn't obey. Couldn't. Because the command in her voice wasn't a request. It was law. The gray alpha's eyes widened in recognition. "No," he breathed. "That's not possible. The first alpha is sealed. He can't, you can't." "I can," Selena said, and took a step forward. The power made her movements strange, too smooth, like she was being puppeted by something that had forgotten how human bodies moved. "I am the lock. The key. The chain. And right now, I'm choosing to let him show you what happens when you threaten what's mine." "We didn't," the brown alpha gasped, still fighting the invisible force holding him down. "We weren't threatening. You broke my door," Selena said mildly. "You came to my home, my inheritance, with violence in your hearts and commands in your mouths. What would you call that, if not a threat?" The gray alpha's jaw worked, and after a long moment, he lowered his head. "Forgive us," he said, and his tone was pure submission, not to Selena, but to the power speaking through her. "We meant no disrespect to you, First Alpha." "I am not him," Selena said, and for a moment, the layered voice fractured, became just hers again, young and scared and in way over her head. I'm just. "You're the granddaughter of my warden," the deeper voice cut in, steadying her. "And they will respect you. Or they will learn why the moon feared to kill me even when I defied her." The threat hung in the air, sharp and clear. The gray alpha's eyes found Selena's, found the gold burning in them, and something like pity crossed his face. "You're the Mirror," he said quietly. "The last guardian. We didn't know you'd survived." "My grandmother hid me," Selena said, and this time it was all her voice, the power receding like a tide going out. She could feel it draining back down through the floor, back into the chains, leaving her dizzy and shaking. "She hid me with a pack that didn't want me." The mark of the moonless. The gray alpha's eyes went to her throat, to the still healing scars, and his expression darkened. "They marked you for failing to shift." "I didn't fail," Selena whispered. "I never had a wolf to begin with. My grandmother made sure of it. She bound it before I was born, so the pack would reject me, so I'd be invisible," the gray alpha finished. "Gods below. She crippled you on purpose." The words hit like a slap. Crippled. Is that what she was? Not cursed, not rejected by the moon, but deliberately broken by her own bloodline to keep her safe? Or to keep her useful? "She did what she had to do," Selena said, but her voice shook. "To keep him buried. To keep the seals." "The seals are failing," a new voice interrupted. Selena's head jerked up. A 7th figure stood in the doorway, not shifted, still human-formed, which made him either supremely confident or supremely stupid. He was tall, lean, with dark hair that fell across eyes the color of winter ice. And when those eyes locked on Selena, she felt something in her chest lurch. Not attraction. Not exactly. Recognition. Like seeing a piece of a puzzle you didn't know was missing. Who the hell are you? The brown alpha snarled. Caspian Hemsworth, the man said, not looking away from Selena. Alpha of the Northern Reaches. And I've been tracking the magical disturbances for 3 days. He tilted his head, studying her like she was a particularly complex equation. You're the source. The granddaughter. The last guardian. Congratulations, Selena said flatly. You found me. Want a prize? His lips twitched. I want to know why you're channeling the first alpha's power when he's supposed to be buried under 600 feet of warded stone. I'm not channeling. I didn't mean to. Selena's hands clenched into fists. They broke my door. I just wanted them to leave. And you accomplished that by commanding 6 territorial alphas to their knees using a frequency that hasn't been heard since the moon walked among us. Caspian took a step into the house, and despite the power still humming in the floorboards, despite the threat radiating from the sealed chamber below, he looked completely at ease. Either you're the most naturally gifted alpha I've ever met, or you're connected to him in a way your grandmother never was. I'm not connected to him, Selena said, but even she could hear the lie in her voice. Because she could still feel him down there. Could feel his attention on her like sunlight on her skin, could hear the echo of his satisfaction in her mind. You did well, little luck. The seals are cracking, Caspian said, his eyes moving to the circle burned into the floor. I can feel them from here. Every day they get weaker. Every night the mountain shakes a little more. His gaze returned to her, sharp and calculating. How long has he been talking to you? Selena's jaw tightened. I don't have to answer your questions. No, Caspian agreed. But if you don't, the council will assume the worst. They'll assume you're trying to free him. And then every pack in 3 territories will come for you, not to investigate, but to eliminate the threat. The gray alpha pushed himself to his feet, the others following his lead. He's right, he said heavily. What happened here tonight, what you just did, that will be reported. The council will want answers. And they won't be gentle about getting them. I didn't ask for this, Selena said, and hated how small her voice sounded. I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted. She broke off, because what had she wanted? A place to belong? A pack that valued her? A normal life? None of that was possible now. Maybe it never had been. What you want doesn't matter, Caspian said, but his tone wasn't unkind. Just factual. You're the last guardian of the first alpha's prison. That makes you the most important and most dangerous wolf alive. He paused. Or the most important person alive, since you can't shift. I can shift, Selena said before she could stop herself. Every eye in the room locked on her. What? The gray alpha breathed. Selena's hand went to her throat, to the scars. My grandmother bound my wolf before I was born. Locked it away so the pack would reject me. But it's not gone. It's still there. I can feel it now, I can. Feel it because the first alpha's power is cracking your grandmother's seal, Caspian finished. His expression was unreadable. The closer you get to him, physically or otherwise, the more of your own power you'll reclaim. That's not possible, the brown alpha said. You can't unbind a wolf once it's sealed. The magic doesn't work that way. The magic your packs use doesn't work that way, Caspian corrected. But the moon's magic? The original blessings. He looked at Selena. Those are written in different rules. Selena's breath came faster. So what are you saying? That I'm dangerous? That I need to be locked up like him? I'm saying you need to choose, Caspian said. Right now, while you still can. He took another step closer, and the intensity in his eyes made her want to back away and lean in at the same time. Your grandmother spent 60 years holding the chains. Dying by inches to keep the world safe from a threat it had forgotten. Is that what you want? To spend the rest of your life as a warden, feeding your power into failing seals, watching yourself age too fast and die alone. What's the alternative? Selena whispered. Caspian's smile was sharp. You learn to use what you are. You stop being the lock and become the wielder. You take the power you inherited, all of it, including the connection to him, and you use it to protect yourself. To build something new. And let the first alpha go free in the process, the gray alpha interjected. Absolutely not. We can't risk. You can't stop it, Caspian cut in, his eyes still on Selena. The seals are failing. They've been failing for decades. Even if she dedicates her whole life to maintaining them, they'll break within 10 years. 20 at most. He paused. So the question isn't whether he gets free. It's who controls him when he does. Selena's blood ran cold. Controls him. You're the lock, Caspian said. Which means you're also the key. The only one who can command the chains, who can speak the binding words, who can theoretically leash the first alpha's power to your will instead of letting him run free. Interesting, the voice murmured in her mind, and she heard the dark amusement. I like this one. He's clever. Dangerous, though. Watch him carefully, little Locke. I don't want to control anyone, Selena said. Then you'll die, Caspian said bluntly. And when you do, the seals will break completely, and he'll rise with no one to stop him. Is that what your grandmother would have wanted? For her 60 years of sacrifice to end in nothing. Selena's hands shook. I don't know what she would have wanted. She never told me. Never trusted me with the truth. She trusted you with this. Caspian gestured to the house, to the circle, to the mountain itself. She gave you the inheritance. The tools. The knowledge written in her journals. His voice softened. She gave you a choice she never had. Don't waste it. The gray alpha made a frustrated sound. This is insane. We should be calling the council, getting their elders, their seers. And by the time they arrive, every ambitious alpha in the territories will know exactly where to find the first alpha's prison, Caspian countered. Do you really want to start that war? There won't be a war if we eliminate the threat. The words hung in the air. Selena's eyes widened. You mean eliminate me? The gray alpha had the grace to look uncomfortable. The last guardian dies, the bloodline ends, the seals crystallize. The seals shatter, Caspian corrected. They're tied to living heirs. Kill her and you accelerate the timeline to days instead of years. You don't know that. Yes, Selena said quietly, he does. Because my grandmother wrote it. Day 3899. If I die without an heir, the seals will fail catastrophically within a week. The power needs somewhere to go. It will rebound to the source, to him. The room fell silent. The gray alpha closed his eyes. Gods below. So, what do we do? The brown alpha asked, and for the first time, he sounded uncertain. Young. If we can't kill her, can't let her die, can't let the council take her, what's left? We help her, Caspian said. We. Selena repeated. He smiled, and it was the first genuine smile she'd seen from him, sharp and wild and a little reckless. I didn't track magical disturbances across 3 territories just to walk away. You're the most interesting thing that's happened to our world in 200 years, Selena Johansson. I'm not letting you face this alone. You don't even know me. No, he agreed. But I know what you are. And I know that if you're going to survive what's coming, if you're going to do anything except die on this mountain like your grandmother, you're going to need allies. He held out his hand. So, are you willing to accept help? Or do you want to do this the hard way? Selena stared at his offered hand. Behind her, the floor pulsed with heat. The heartbeat quickened, just slightly, like the thing below was leaning closer, holding its breath, waiting to see what she'd choose. Don't trust him, the voice whispered. Don't trust any of them. They want to use you, just like everyone else. Maybe, Selena whispered back. But right now, they're all I've got. She reached out and took Caspian's hand. His fingers closed around hers, warm, solid, real, and something in her chest unclenched. Just a little. Okay, she said. Help me. Caspian's smile widened. First rule. We get you off this mountain before anyone else comes looking. Second rule. We figure out exactly what your grandmother did to bind your wolf. Third rule. The mountain shook. Not a tremor. Not a shift. A full, violent convulsion that sent books flying from their towers and cracked the symbols carved into the walls. Everyone stumbled, grabbing for support, and the circle beneath their feet blazed bright enough to hurt. "Oh," the voice said, and for the first time, he sounded surprised. "Oh, Little Lock. You really don't know what you did, do you?" "What?" Selena gasped. "What did I do?" "You touched me. Let me in. Gave me access to your blood, your power, your will." A pause, and then something that might have been laughter. "And when you took his hand, when you accepted his offer, you forged a bond. Pack bond. Blood bond. Whatever you want to call it. So the chains recognize bonds, Little Lock. They're designed to transfer power through bloodlines, through connections of family and magic. And you just created a new connection." His voice dropped to a purr. "Which means he's tied to the seals now too. And when they break, when I rise, he'll feel everything. Everything I feel. Everything you feel. Everything we become." Caspian's eyes widened as understanding hit. "Oh hell." "What?" Selena demanded. "What does that mean?" "It means," Caspian said slowly, "that when I offered to help you, I accidentally volunteered to be part of your grandmother's binding magic." He looked down at their joined hands. "We're connected now. To you. To him. To all of it." The floor pulsed again, and this time Selena felt it, felt the chain wrapping around Caspian like a silver thread, tying him to her, to the seal, to the ancient wolf buried miles below. "Can we break it?" the Grey Alpha demanded. "No," Caspian and Selena said at the same time. Then Caspian smiled, wild and reckless and maybe a little insane. "But maybe we don't want to." "Are you out of your mind?" the Brown Alpha sputtered. "You just bound yourself to the first Alpha's prison." "I bound myself to her," Caspian corrected, his eyes locked on Selena's. "To the last guardian. The lock and the key." He squeezed her hand. "If the seals are going to break anyway, better to be on the inside when it happens. Better to have some measure of control." "I like him more by the minute," the voice purred. "I'm going to throw up," Selena said faintly. Caspian laughed, actually laughed, bright and genuine. "Welcome to your inheritance, Guardian. Now, let's figure out how to survive it." Behind them, the mountain shook again. And miles below, in a chamber that hadn't seen light in 200 years, golden eyes opened wide and hungry, and the first Alpha smiled for the first time in centuries. They left the mountain at dawn. Not because it was safe, nothing about this was safe, but because the Grey Alpha's pack needed to report back to their territory, and Selena needed to not be there when they did. "Tell the council you found the source," Caspian instructed as they stood in the clearing where the Alpha's vehicles were parked. "Tell them the magical disturbance was tied to the old Mirren property, and that you've secured the site. Don't mention her. Not yet." The Grey Alpha, Marcus Thorne, he'd finally introduced himself, shook his head. "They'll send investigators. Seers. They'll tear this mountain apart looking for answers. Then make sure they take their time getting here." Caspian's tone was casual, but his eyes were hard. "A week. That's all I need." "To do what?" "Figure out if she's a threat or a solution." Caspian glanced at Selena, who was standing by his car with her arms wrapped around herself. "And teach her how to control what she is before someone decides to put her down like a rabid wolf." Marcus's jaw tightened, but after a long moment, he nodded. 1 week. Then I have to file a full report." His eyes found Selena's. "And girl? If you're thinking about freeing him, if you even consider breaking those seals." "I'm not," Selena said. "You say that now. But he's persuasive. 200 years is a long time to practice manipulation." Marcus's expression softened slightly. "Your grandmother resisted him for 60 years. It killed her. Don't let your pride make you think you'll do better." Selena didn't answer. Just climbed into Caspian's car and closed the door. She watched through the window as the Alpha's vehicles roared back down the mountain, taking the gravel path that somehow existed now even though it had been barely visible when she'd arrived. The seals were failing. The protections were fading. Soon everyone would be able to find this place. "Hey!" Caspian slid into the driver's seat, his movements easy despite the magical bond now tying them together. "You okay?" No, Selena said honestly. Fair. He started the engine. For what it's worth, I don't think you're a threat. You don't even know me. I know you're terrified. I know you're overwhelmed. I know you spent 18 years being told you were worthless, and now you're finding out you're possibly the most important person in the supernatural world. He pulled onto the road, heading down the mountain. None of that screams secret villain to me. Despite everything, Selena's lips twitched. Give it time. That's the spirit. Caspian shot her a grin, then sobered. We need to figure out what your grandmother did to bind your wolf. If we can undo it safely, you'll have access to your full power. That might give us an edge when the seals finally break. And if we can't undo it safely, then we work with what we have. He glanced at her. You commanded 6 alphas to their knees last night using borrowed power. Imagine what you could do with your own. Selena's hand drifted to her throat, to the mark of the moonless. The pack that raised me, they marked me because I couldn't shift. Because they thought I was broken. They marked you because they were idiots, Caspian said bluntly. The inability to shift can be genetic, environmental, or magical. Any decent pack should have tested you before carving you up like a. He broke off, his hands tightening on the wheel. Sorry. That was accurate, Selena finished quietly. They drove in silence for a while, the mountain disappearing behind them as the road leveled out into forested lowlands. Selena watched the trees blur past and tried not to think about the heartbeat still pulsing at the back of her mind, fainter now, distant, but there. Always there. Where are we going, little lock? The voice made her jump. I thought you couldn't reach me when I left the mountain, she said aloud. Caspian's head swiveled. What? Not you. Selena pressed her fingers to her temple. Him. He's still talking to me. Caspian swore under his breath. The bond shouldn't extend this far. The seal should limit his reach to the mountain itself. Should, the voice agreed, amused. But when you let me in, when you opened yourself to channel my power, you created a bridge. Distance doesn't matter anymore. Not between us. Can he hear everything? Caspian asked, his eyes on the road but his attention clearly split. Selena hesitated. I don't know. Can you? She asked the voice. Only what you allow me to hear. Only what you think at me directly, or what you feel strongly enough to broadcast. A pause. Your fear is very loud, little lock. As is your curiosity. I'm not curious about you. Liar. Selena's hands clenched in her lap. How do I block you out? You don't. That's the point of the bond. I'm part of you now, just as you're part of me. We're connected, little lock. Lock and prisoner, key and door. You can no more cut me out than you can cut out your own heart. That's not creepy at all, Caspian muttered. Tell your new friend he should worry less about me and more about the pack that's been following us for the last 10 minutes. Selena's head snapped up. What? Caspian's eyes moved to the rearview mirror, and his expression went flat. He's right. Black SUV, 2 cars back. They picked us up about 5 miles ago. The council. Too fast. Marcus would need at least a day to file his report and have investigators dispatched. Caspian's jaw tightened. This is someone else. Someone who is already watching the mountain. Or someone who felt the pulse when you touched the seals, the voice suggested. Not every alpha reported to Marcus's little scouting party. Some would have come alone. Waited. Watched. Why? Selena demanded. Because they want what I have. What we have. His tone darkened. Power draws predators, little lock. And you just announced yourself to every ambitious wolf in 3 territories. Caspian accelerated smoothly, not enough to look like they were running, but enough to put distance between them and the SUV. We need to lose them before we reach the northern reaches. I can protect you in my territory, but out here. The SUV sped up, closing the gap. Or not, Caspian said grimly. What do they want? You. Or information about you. Or, he broke off as the SUV suddenly swerved into the oncoming lane and accelerated past them. What the? The SUV cut them off, tires screaming, forcing Caspian to slam on the brakes. They skidded to a stop inches from its rear bumper, and, before Selina could process what was happening, four wolves erupted from the vehicle in their war forms. Not just wolves. Alphas. She could feel it in their presence, in the way they moved, confident, predatory, used to getting what they wanted. The largest one shifted back to human form as he approached Caspian's window. He was young, maybe late 20s, with the kind of pretty boy features that probably made him popular with unmated females. But his eyes were cold. "Caspian Hemsworth," he said, his voice carrying even through the closed window. "I was hoping I'd catch you before you left the territory." Caspian rolled down the window halfway, his expression carefully neutral. "Julian. Didn't expect to see you out this way. Didn't you?" Julian's smile was sharp. "Come on, Cass. We both felt the pulse. We both know what it means." His eyes slid to Selina, and something hungry flickered across his face. "And we both know what she is." "She's under my protection," Caspian said flatly. "Is she? Because last I checked, you don't have authority over unclaimed wolves in neutral territory." Julian leaned against the car door, and Selina could see his claws still partially shifted, a threat barely contained. "The council will want to question her. Assess the threat. And since you're not council, and neither is she, I think it's best if she comes with us." "That's not happening." "It's not your choice." Julian's eyes locked on Selina's, and his voice dropped into alpha command, the kind of tone that made lesser wolves bare their throats automatically. "Step out of the car, Omega." Selina's body tried to obey, tried to respond to the command in his voice the way she'd been trained her whole life. But the power in her chest, the connection to the thing miles below, stirred. And suddenly Julian's command felt like trying to move a mountain. "No," Selina said, and her voice came out steady, calm, layered with an undertone that made Julian's eyes widen. "I don't think I will." Julian's smile vanished. "What did you just—" She said no, Selina interrupted, and this time the layered voice was deliberate, hers and his, speaking in unison. "And you will respect that. Or I'll show you what happens when you try to command something that's already leashed to a power greater than yours." The other three wolves still shifted, still surrounding the car, flattened their ears and whined. Julian stumbled back a step, his face going pale. "That's not possible. The first alpha is sealed, he can't." "I'm speaking through my lock," the voice said, and Selina felt him enjoying this, felt his satisfaction at Julian's fear. "And she's allowing it because you threatened her. Made her feel unsafe. So let me make something very clear, little alpha. She is not unclaimed. She is not unprotected. And if you or anyone else tries to take her by force, you'll learn exactly why the moon chose to seal me instead of killing me." The temperature dropped. Frost crept across the asphalt, spreading out from Caspian's car in intricate patterns. Julian's wolves were backing away now, their tails tucked, their bodies vibrating with the instinct to run. "This is a violation," Julian said, but his voice shook. "Using his power, channeling him, the council will execute you for this." "They can try," Selina said, and this time it was mostly her voice, mostly her anger. "But first they'll have to catch me. And I don't think you want to be the one who tries." She didn't know where the confidence came from. Didn't know what she was doing or how she was doing it. But the power was there, steady and vast, and for the first time in her life, she felt strong. Julian held her gaze for a long moment, then looked away, the first break in dominance, the first sign of submission. "The council will hear about this," he said finally. "I'm counting on it," Caspian said, and hit the gas. The car lurched forward, forcing Julian to dive out of the way. His wolves scattered, and then they were past them, roaring down the road while Selina's hands shook in her lap. "That," Caspian said after a moment, "was incredibly stupid and incredibly impressive. I didn't mean to, I don't know how. You channeled him. Used his power to reinforce your own presence." Caspian glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "That's not supposed to be possible without breaking the seals. Your grandmother could never do it." "Your grandmother never tried," the voice said, and Selina could hear the smile. "She was too afraid of me." too worried that if she opened the connection, I'd consume her. But you, little Locke, you're not afraid. Or at least, your fear doesn't stop you. I'm terrified, Selina whispered. I know. I can feel it. But you did it anyway. Something like approval colored his tone. You're stronger than they made you believe. Stronger than even you know. Great, Selina said weakly. That's just great. Caspian drove in silence for a few miles, then, we need to accelerate the timeline. Julian will report to the council, and once they know you can channel the first alpha's power, they'll come for me, Selina finished. To kill me or control me or lock me up forever. Probably all three. Caspian's hands tightened on the wheel. Which means we have maybe 3 days before this turns into a full-scale territorial crisis. He looked at her. Can you fight? I've never shifted. Never trained. Never. Can you fight? He repeated. Selina thought about the pack that had held her down and carved her skin. Thought about her sister's hand in the alphas. Thought about 18 years of being invisible, worthless, rejected. I can learn, she said. Caspian's smile was fierce. Good. Because where we're going, you'll need to. The northern reaches was not what Selina expected. She'd pictured something remote, a compound in the wilderness, maybe, or a small town where everyone knew everyone. Instead, Caspian drove them to a sprawling estate on the edge of a mid-sized city, the kind of place that looked like old money and older secrets. You're a city alpha? Selina asked as they pulled through iron gates that opened automatically. I'm a pragmatic alpha, Caspian corrected. Remote territories are romantic until you need medical care or internet access. He parked in front of a stone manor that looked like it had been standing for a century. Besides, the best place to hide from the supernatural world is in the middle of the human one. They don't ask questions, don't investigate strange behaviors, and their laws protect property rights better than any pact treaty. That's surprisingly smart. I have my moments. He killed the engine and turned to face her. Listen, my pack is small, maybe 30 wolves total. But they're loyal and they're discreet. No one will bother you here without going through me first. Why are you doing this? Selina asked. You barely know me. You accidentally bound yourself to a prison seal. Why not just cut your losses then? Because I'm curious, Caspian interrupted. Because you're the first genuinely interesting thing to happen in my territory in 5 years. And because he paused, something flickering across his face. Because when I was 15, my father tried to bind my wolf to his will. Make me a perfect, obedient heir. It almost killed me. Selina's breath caught. What happened? My mother killed him first. Caspian's smile was cold. Then she taught me that power isn't about dominance. It's about choice. And right now, you're being denied every choice except obedience or death. He met her eyes. So I'm giving you a third option. Learn. Train. Figure out who you are when you're not being crushed under someone else's expectations. Something in Selina's chest cracked open. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. You haven't met my pack. He climbed out of the car and Selina followed. The manor's front door opened before they reached it, and a woman stepped out, tall, elegant, with silver threading through her dark hair and eyes that assessed Selina in 2 seconds flat. So, she said, this is the girl who made my son do something monumentally stupid. Mother, Caspian said dryly, meet Selina Johansson, the last guardian of the first Alpha's prison. Selina, this is Mira Hemsworth, Alpha of the Northern Reaches, and the only person I'm actually afraid of. Myra's lips twitched. You should be. Her gaze moved to Selina, sharp and calculating. You can channel him. It wasn't a question. Yes, Selina admitted. I don't know how, but... Show me. What? Channel him. Now. I need to see what we're working with. Selina looked at Caspian, who shrugged. She's going to find out anyway. Might as well get it over with. I don't know if I can do it on command, Selina said. Yes, you can, the voice assured her. Just ask. I'm always here, little Locke. Always waiting. Selina closed her eyes and reached for the connection, that silver thread running from her chest down through miles of earth to the chamber where he waited. "Can you?" "Of course." Power flooded through her, gentler this time, controlled. Her eyes snapped open, and they were burning gold again, and when she spoke, the layered voice made Myra's eyebrows rise. "Hello, Mira Hemsworth. It's been a long time since I spoke with a wolf who wasn't trying to kill me or bind me. This is refreshing." Mira studied her for a long moment, then smiled, sharp and dangerous and impressed. "Well," she said, "this is going to be interesting." The power receded, leaving Selena gasping. "Can you train her?" Caspian asked his mother. "To fight?" "Yes, to control that connection." Myra's expression turned serious. "That's going to require more than combat training. That's going to require her to understand exactly what she is." Her eyes found Selena's. "And accept it." "I don't even know what I am," Selena said. "Then let's find out." Mira turned and walked back into the manor. "Come. We have 3 days before the council arrives, and you have 18 years of weakness to unlearn." Caspian squeezed Selena's shoulder. "Welcome to the northern reaches. Try not to die." "Thanks," Selena said weakly. "That's super encouraging." But as she followed them into the manor, as she felt the heartbeat pulse steady and strong at the back of her mind, she realized something. For the first time since the pack had marked her, since her grandmother had died and left her this impossible inheritance, she didn't feel alone. "You're not," the voice whispered. "You never will be again." And Selena didn't know if that was a promise or a threat. Maybe it was both. The training room was in the manor's basement, and it looked like a place where people went to either become dangerous or die trying. Padded mats covered the floor. Weapons lined the walls, not just modern equipment, but ancient ones too. Swords that looked like they'd tasted real blood. Chains inscribed with symbols that made Selena's skin prickle. And in the center of the room, a circle burned into the concrete that looked disturbingly similar to the one in her grandmother's house. "Strip," Mira said, already rolling up her sleeves. Selena blinked. "What?" "Down to whatever you're comfortable fighting in. I need to see how you move." Myra's eyes were clinical, assessing. "And I need to see the mark." Selena's hand went instinctively to her throat. "It's not shameful," Mira said, her voice gentler. "But it is relevant. The placement, the depth, the symbols used, all of that tells me what kind of binding your pack attempted." "Attempted?" Caspian asked from where he leaned against the wall. "The mark of the moonless is meant to sever the connection between human and wolf permanently," Mira explained. "But clearly it didn't work on her. Which means either the binding was done incorrectly, or there was never a wolf to sever," Selena finished quietly. "Because my grandmother bound it before I was born." Mira nodded. "2 bindings then. Your grandmother's deliberate seal, and your pack's incompetent attempt to finish the job." She gestured impatiently. "Now strip. We're burning daylight." Selena hesitated, then pulled off her jacket and shirt, leaving just a sports bra. The mark of the moonless stood out starkly against her collarbone, 3 curved lines carved deep, the scar tissue still pink and angry. Mira studied it, her expression darkening. "They used iron. Idiots. Iron poisoning can prevent healing for weeks." "It's been 4 days," Selena said. "And it should be healed by now, even without a wolf." Myra's fingers hovered over the scars without touching them. "But the iron is still in your system. Still interfering." She looked up. "This is going to hurt." "What is?" Mira didn't answer. She just pressed 2 fingers directly to the mark and pushed. Pain exploded through Selena's nervous system like lightning. She screamed, her knees buckling, but Mira caught her with her other hand, holding her upright while she worked. "Caspian," Mira said sharply. "Hold her." Caspian was there instantly, his arms wrapping around Selena from behind, taking her weight as her legs gave out. "What are you doing to her?" "Extracting the iron. It's bonded to the scar tissue, someone's idea of making the mark permanent." Myra's jaw clenched. "Hold her still." Selena couldn't have moved if she wanted to. The pain was absolute, whiting out her vision, and she could feel something pulling at her throat, something physical being drawn out through her skin like poison from a wound. "Breathe," the voice commanded, cutting through the agony. "Breathe, little Luck. You're stronger than this. Stronger than their cruelty." She didn't have breath to argue. Could only gasp and shake as Mira worked, as tiny flecks of black iron began to surface through the scarred skin like splinters working their way out. It took 10 minutes. 10 minutes that felt like hours. When Mira finally stepped back, Selena collapsed completely into Caspian's arms, her throat on fire, her whole body shaking. But when she touched the mark with trembling fingers, the skin felt different. Cooler. Cleaner. "There," Mira said, examining the small pile of iron fragments she'd extracted. "That should help. Your body can start healing properly now." "You could have warned me," Selena gasped. "If I'd warned you, you would have tensed up and made it worse." Mira wiped her hands on a cloth. "Can you stand?" Selena tested her legs, found they were mostly solid, and pushed herself upright. Caspian's hands steadied her, his expression concerned. "I'm okay," she told him. Then, to Mira, "What now?" "Now we see if you can fight." Mira moved to the center of the circle. "Attack me." "What?" "You heard me. Use whatever you have, fists, feet, teeth. I want to see your instincts." Selena glanced at Caspian, who shrugged. "Do what she says. Trust me, it's easier." "I don't know how to fight." "Everyone knows how to fight," Mira said. "It's survival instinct. The question is whether you've been taught to suppress it." Her eyes hardened. "So stop thinking and attack me." Selena hesitated, then lunged, clumsy, telegraphed, driven more by frustration than skill. Mira sidestepped easily and swept Selena's legs out from under her. Selena hit the mat hard, the air punching out of her lungs. "Again," Mira said. Selena got up and tried again. And again. And again. Each time, Mira put her down with almost casual efficiency, never using more force than necessary, never hurting her beyond bruises and wounded pride, but making it absolutely clear how outmatched Selena was. By the 20th attempt, Selena was bleeding from a split lip and so angry she couldn't see straight. "This is pointless," she spat, pushing herself up one more time. "I can't beat you. I can't even touch you." "No, you can't," Mira agreed. "Not like this. Not as a human who's never trained." She tilted her head. "But you're not just human, are you?" Selena's hands clenched into fists. "My wolf is bound." "I'm not talking about your wolf." Myra's eyes gleamed. "I'm talking about him. The power you channeled earlier. The connection that makes alphas drop to their knees when you speak." She took a step forward. "Use it." "I can't just. It doesn't work like that." "Doesn't it?" Mira smiled, cold and challenging. "You called on him when Julian threatened you. When you felt cornered and scared. So feel that again. Feel what it's like to be prey." Her voice dropped into alpha command, and the pressure of it made Selena's wolf, the bound, locked away thing she'd never felt, suddenly howl inside her chest. "Feel weak. Feel helpless. Feel like you're 18 years old and they're holding you down to carve failure into your skin." Something in Selena snapped. She reached for the connection, not carefully, not tentatively, but with both hands and all her desperation, and pulled. Power erupted through her like a dam breaking. Her eyes blazed gold. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in an instant. And when she moved with a speed and grace that wasn't entirely her own, muscles guided by 200 years of combat experience, instincts honed in an age when wolves fought for survival every day. She closed the distance between herself and Mira in a heartbeat, her fist driving toward the older woman's face with enough force to break bone. Mira caught her wrist, smiling. "Better." Then she twisted, using Selena's momentum against her, and threw her across the room. Selena hit the wall hard enough to crack the plaster. But instead of falling, instead of staying down, she pushed off and came at Mira again, faster this time, smarter, using feints and combinations she didn't consciously know but her body executed anyway. Good, the voice purred. Let me guide you. Let me show you what you can be. They fought, or danced, or something between the two, for 5 minutes straight. Mira never stopped smiling, never looked concerned, but she had to work for it. Had to actually defend instead of just counter. And when Selena finally landed a hit, a glancing blow to Myra's shoulder that the older woman allowed through, both of them stopped, breathing hard. There, Mira said, satisfaction in her voice. That's what I wanted to see. The power drained out of Selena like water through her fingers. She collapsed to her knees, gasping, her body shaking from exertion and adrenaline. Caspian was at her side immediately, offering water. That was incredible. That was terrifying, Selena corrected, her voice hoarse. She looked up at Mira. When I use his power, when I let him in like that, I can feel him. Not just his strength. His thoughts. His memories. It's like he's right here, standing behind me, whispering instructions. That's because he is, Mira said. The bond you share isn't just magical. It's mental. Emotional. The closer you get to him, the more you'll feel what he feels. She crouched down to Selena's level. Which means you need to be very, very careful. Because bonds like this don't just allow power to flow one direction. Selena's blood ran cold. What do you mean? I mean he can feel you too. Your emotions, your fears, your desires. Myra's expression was grave. And he's had 200 years to learn how to manipulate people. How to find their weaknesses and exploit them. How to make them think his goals are their goals. I'm not going to free him, Selena said. Not consciously, no. But what about unconsciously? What about when you're exhausted and scared and he offers comfort? What about when you're alone and he's the only voice that tells you you're strong? Mira stood. The first alpha wasn't sealed because he was evil, Selena. He was sealed because he was compelling. Because wolves followed him willingly, gave him their loyalty freely, because he made them feel seen and valued and powerful. That's more dangerous than any amount of physical strength. Selena looked down at her shaking hands. So what do? You learn to hear him without listening to him. Use his power without accepting his philosophy. And you build other connections, other voices, so he's not the only one you hear. Mira glanced at Caspian. That's why the bond between you two might actually be an advantage. It gives her an anchor. A reminder that she's not alone with him. Caspian nodded slowly. How do we strengthen it? The bond between us. Time. Trust. Shared experience. Myra's smile turned wicked. Or you could take the fast route. Which is? Blood bond. Mix your blood with hers in a ritual circle. It would tie you together permanently, not quite a mate bond, but close. Mira looked between them. Of course, that's not something you can undo. Ever. So you'd better be sure. Selena's heart hammered. I'm not, we just met. I know, Caspian said. But she's right. If we're going to survive this, if you're going to survive this, you need more than just my protection. You need a real connection. Something that can stand against his influence. You'd really do that? Selena whispered. Permanently bind yourself to someone you barely know? Caspian's smile was crooked. I already did that when I took your hand on the mountain, remember? Might as well make it official. Don't do it, the voice said suddenly, urgently. Little Locke, you don't need him. You have me. Why would you tie yourself to a lesser wolf when you could? Because I need balance, Selena said aloud, cutting him off. Because you're powerful, but you're also a prisoner who wants freedom. And I can't trust my own judgment when you're in my head whispering how strong I am. Silence. Then, you're right. I do want freedom. But I also want you to survive. And if bonding with him helps that, if it keeps you alive and strong, then I won't fight it. A pause. But know this, little Locke, the more bonds you form, the more anchors you build, the harder it will be for me to reach you. Is that what you want? To shut me out? I don't know, Selena admitted. I don't know what I want. But I know I can't do this alone. You're not alone. You have me. You're part of the problem, not the solution. The words hung in the air. Am I? The voice asked quietly. Or am I just the first one who's been honest with you? Who told you were strong instead of broken? Who saw potential instead of failure? Selena closed her eyes. Stop. Selena. Caspian's hand touched her shoulder. What's he saying? The truth, she whispered. The worst kind of truth. The kind that's wrapped in manipulation, but still true. Myra's expression softened. That's how he works. That's how he's always worked. She held out her hand. So, let's give you something else. Something real. No manipulation, no hidden agendas, just a bond between wolves who choose to stand together. Selena looked at that offered hand. Looked at Caspian, who nodded encouragement. Looked at the circle burned into the floor and thought about her grandmother spending 60 years alone in a house on a mountain, dying inch by inch with no one to help her, no one to share the burden. Okay, she said. How do we do this? The ritual was simpler than Selena expected. They stood in the circle, Selena and Caspian facing each other, Mira outside the perimeter drawing symbols in what looked like silver powder. The lights were dim, candles flickering around them, and the air felt heavy with something Selena couldn't name. Blood bonds are ancient, Mira explained as she worked. Older than pack law, older than the council, almost as old as the moon's first blessing. They tie two wolves together in a way that transcends pack affiliation or territorial boundaries. She looked up at them. Once this is done, you'll be able to feel each other. Not thoughts or words, but emotions. Presence. Location. If one of you is in danger, the other will know. If one of you dies, she paused. The other will feel it. Might even die too, depending on how strong the bond becomes. Cheerful, Caspian muttered. It's not meant to be cheerful. It's meant to be permanent. Mira finished the last symbol and stood, holding a silver knife. This is your last chance to back out. Selena looked at Caspian. Really looked at him, this alpha she'd known for less than a day, who'd offered her protection and training and a place to stand when she had nothing. Why? She asked. Why are you really doing this? Caspian was quiet for a moment. Because when my father tried to bind my wolf, when he tried to make me into something I wasn't, I wished someone had stood with me. Been tied to me strongly enough that he couldn't isolate me, couldn't make me think I was alone. His eyes met hers. You're not alone. And I'm going to make sure you never forget that. Something in Selena's chest cracked open. Okay, she whispered. Let's do it. Mira handed Caspian the knife first. He pressed the blade to his palm without hesitation and drew it across, blood welling immediately. Then he handed it to Selena. She mimicked the motion, hissing at the sharp sting, and watched her blood mix with his as they clasped hands. Repeat after me, Mira said, her voice taking on a ceremonial cadence. I bind my blood to yours. I bind my blood to yours, they said in unison. My strength to your weakness. My strength to your weakness. My life to your survival. My life to your survival. From this moment until the last. From this moment until the last. Myra's eyes blazed gold. So let it be sealed by the moon's first law, that no wolf stands alone who has another to stand with them. The silver powder ignited not with fire, but with light, pure and white and blinding. It raced around the circle in an instant, then shot inward, wrapping around their joined hands like ethereal chains. Selena gasped as she felt something lock into place deep in her chest, a second presence that wasn't the first alpha's patient darkness, but Caspian's fierce, wild brightness. No, the voice from below roared, and the mountain itself shook. No, you can't. But it was done. The light faded. The powder settled into ash. And when Selena opened her eyes, she could feel Caspian not in her mind like the first alpha, but in her bones. In the rhythm of her heart that now beat in time with his. Whoa, Caspian breathed. That's intense, Selena finished. They were still holding hands, blood mixing between their palms, and the wound was already healing, but healing wrong, the scar tissue forming patterns that matched, that would mark them both as blood bonded. How do you feel? Mira asked. Strange. Good. Like Selena paused, searching for words. Like I'm not just myself anymore. Like there's more of me than there was. That's the bond. It doesn't make you less yourself. It makes you more. Mira smiled. And it means the first alpha can't isolate you. Can't make you think he's your only option. Because now you have Caspian and Caspian has you, and that connection will hold even when everything else is falling apart. Clever, the voice said, and he sounded almost impressed. Very clever. She's built you a lifeline. A way to resist me even when I'm offering everything you want. That was the point, Selena said. I know. A pause. I'm not angry, Little Luck. Honestly, I'm relieved. This way, when the seals break, when I finally rise, you'll be strong enough to stand beside me instead of being consumed by my power. You'll be an ally, not a victim. I'm never going to be your ally. We'll see. And there was something in his tone, something that made Selena's stomach twist. The night is still young, Little Luck. And I have so much to show you. Before she could respond, the manor shook violently, like an earthquake, sending books flying from shelves and cracks racing across the walls. What the hell? Caspian steadied Selena as the floor bucked beneath them. The seals, Mira breathed, her eyes wide. Something's happening to the seals. Selena closed her eyes and reached for the connection, not to him, but to the mountain itself, to the magic her grandmother had woven into stone and silver. And gasped. The seals were cracking. Not slowly anymore, not link by link over days and weeks. Shattering. The blood bond, she whispered. When we formed it, when the magic activated. It reacted with your existing bond to him, Mira finished, her face going pale. The power surge. It destabilized the seals. How long? Caspian demanded. Selena could feel it, feel the chains splitting, the silver screaming as it gave way, the ancient tree roots that had held him down for 2 centuries beginning to wither and die. 2 days, she said. Maybe 3. Then he's free. The room fell silent. Well, Caspian said finally, at least we won't have to wait for the council to make this interesting. 2 days, the voice purred, satisfaction and hunger bleeding through every word. 2 days until I see you face to face, Little Luck. 2 days until I show you exactly what we can become together. Selena opened her eyes, and they were burning gold. Then we'd better get ready, she said. Because ready or not, willing or not, she was about to meet the thing that had haunted her bloodline for 200 years. And this time, there would be no seals between them. No chains. No mountain to keep them apart. Just her and him, and the choice she'd have to make. Control him, or be controlled. Destroy him, or let him destroy the world. The weight of it settled on her shoulders like a physical thing. And in the chamber miles below, golden eyes opened wide and eager, and the first alpha smiled. The council arrived at dawn on the 2nd day. Selena woke to the sound of vehicles, dozens of them, rolling up to the manor's gates. She stumbled to the window and felt her heart sink. Black SUVs stretched down the road as far as she could see, and wolves in formal robes were already establishing a perimeter around the property. They brought everyone, Caspian said from the doorway, fully dressed despite the early hour. Through their bond, she felt his grim determination. Every council elder. Every territorial alpha. This isn't an investigation anymore. It's a trial, Selena whispered. It's an execution, Mira corrected, appearing behind her son. They've felt the seals breaking. They know what's coming. And they've decided you're too dangerous to live. Selena's hands shook as she dressed. The mark of the moonless had finally healed, Myra's extraction of the iron had worked, but the scars remained, 3 curved lines that felt warm now instead of painful. Like they were changing into something else. Something that had nothing to do with shame. Don't go down there, the voice urged. They'll kill you, Little Luck. Or worse, they'll try to use you as a sacrifice. Spill your blood on the seals to reinforce them one last time. Would that work? She asked aloud. For a day. Maybe 2. And it would kill you in the process. His voice hardened. I won't allow it. You don't get a vote. Don't I? You're carrying my power, channeling my strength. If they harm you, I'll tear through what's left of these seals and burn their council to ash before they can blink. That'll really help my case, Selena muttered, but her chest felt tight with fear. The council had set up in Myra's great hall, a massive room with vaulted ceilings and windows that let in too much light. 20 elders sat in a semicircle, their faces carved from judgment and ancient law. Behind them stood the territorial alphas, and Selena recognized Julian among them, his expression smug. In the center of the room stood a silver cage. You've got to be kidding me, Caspian snarled. The accused will be contained during questioning, the head elder said, a woman so old her hair had gone white, her eyes milky with cataracts. But when she looked at Selena, those eyes gleamed with perfect clarity. For the safety of all present. She hasn't done anything wrong, Mira said, her voice carrying alpha authority that made several wolves flinch. This is my territory. You have no jurisdiction here. We have jurisdiction wherever the first alpha's power is felt, the elder countered. And this girl reeks of it. She gestured to the cage. Enter willingly, or we'll force compliance. Selena looked at Caspian, felt his rage and helplessness through their bond. It's okay, she said quietly. I'll do it. Selena. I'm not giving them an excuse. She walked to the cage, trying not to think about how small it was, how the silver bars would burn if she touched them. Let's get this over with. The cage door clanged shut behind her. The questioning lasted 3 hours. They asked about her grandmother, about the inheritance, about the night the seals first cracked. They asked about Julian's encounter on the road, about her ability to channel the first alpha's power, about the blood bond with Caspian. Selena answered truthfully. There was no point lying, not when half the room could smell deception, and the other half could read it in her pulse. You admit to wielding his power, the elder said finally. To allowing him into your mind, to forming a connection that endangers every wolf in 3 territories. I didn't choose this, Selena said. Her throat hurt from talking, and the silver cage was making her dizzy. My grandmother chose it. The moon chose it when she made my bloodline the wardens. I'm just trying to survive. By making pacts with our greatest enemy. By using the tools I have. Selena's hands clenched. You want me to hold the seals? They're failing. They've been failing for decades. My grandmother died trying to maintain them. What do you want me to do, die too? Buy you another week before he breaks free anyway. We want you to do your duty, the elder said coldly. As your grandmother did. As 46 women before her did. My grandmother spent 60 years alone on that mountain, Selena shot back. 60 years dying by inches while the council did nothing. Offered no help, no resources, no support. Just expected her to sacrifice everything while you stayed safe in your territories. Her voice rose. So forgive me if I'm not eager to follow her example. The room fell silent. Then you leave us no choice, the elder said. By the authority of the Territorial Council, we sentence you to binding and sacrifice. Your blood will reinforce the seals one final time, and your death will accomplish nothing, a new voice interrupted. Every head turned. A woman stood in the doorway, young, beautiful, with silver hair that moved like water and eyes that blazed with light that hurt to look at directly. Selena's breath stopped. Because she knew those eyes. Had seen them in her grandmother's journals, in the visions the house had shown her. The moon. Impossible, the voice breathed, shocked for the first time since Selena had known him. She hasn't walked among wolves in 200 years. Not since I sealed you, the moon finished, and her smile was sad. She walked into the room like she owned it, and maybe she did. Every wolf dropped to their knees instinctively, even the elders. Hello, old friend. Did you miss me? You know I did. The moon's eyes found Selena in her cage. And you. The last daughter. The lock and the key. She tilted her head. You've made quite a mess of my careful plans. Your plans. Selena's voice shook. You're the one who cursed my bloodline. Who made us wardens for a prison we didn't build. I made you guardians of a power too dangerous to destroy, the moon corrected. Because I loved him too much to kill him, even when he defied me. Even when he tried to make himself a god. Her expression turned ancient and grieving. So I sealed him, hid his power, and trusted that his wardens would keep him contained until he learned humility. 200 years, the voice said, and the anger in it made the building tremble. 200 years in darkness, and you call that love? I call it mercy, the moon said quietly. Because the alternative was death. And I couldn't, her voice broke. I couldn't bear to unmake what I had made. Selena watched them, felt the weight of history pressing down on the room, the grief and fury and ancient love that still burned between them. Why are you here? She whispered. The moon's eyes met hers. Because the seals are breaking. Because you've formed bonds I didn't anticipate. And because I need to know, she paused. When he rises, whose side will you be on? I'm not on anyone's side, Selena said. I just want to survive. Then you've already chosen, the moon said. Because survival means adaptation. Means using every tool available. Means becoming something neither he nor I expected. She looked at the council. Release her. But the head elder started. Release her. The moon's voice carried absolute authority. This trial is over. The sentence is void. And anyone who tries to harm this girl will answer to me directly. The cage door opened. Selena stumbled out, and Caspian was there immediately, catching her, his relief flooding through their bond. What happens now? Mira asked. The moon looked toward the mountain, toward the chamber where the first alpha waited. Now we prepare. The seals will break tomorrow at sunset. And when they do, every wolf in this territory will feel it. Her eyes found Selena's. Including you, Guardian. You'll feel everything he's been holding back for 2 centuries. Every ounce of power, every moment of rage, every moment I spent thinking about freedom, the voice finished. About revenge. About the wolves who sealed me and the moon who condemned me and the world that forgot I ever existed. He's going to destroy everything, Julian said, his face pale. Not if she stops him, the moon said. Every eye turned to Selena. How? She whispered. How am I supposed to stop something that powerful? By being more powerful, the moon said simply. By accepting what you are, not just the lock, not just the key, but the chain itself. The binding force. She reached out and touched Selena's forehead. Your grandmother locked your wolf to keep you safe. But safety isn't what you need now. Power flooded through Selena, ancient, vast, pure as starlight. And inside her chest, something that had been sleeping for 18 years finally woke. Her wolf. Not broken. Not bound. Glorious. Selena's eyes blazed, not gold like when she channeled the first alpha, but silver like the moon herself. And when her wolf rose inside her, when it finally took form after years of suffocation, she felt complete for the first time in her life. Tomorrow, the moon said, he rises. And tomorrow, you'll have to choose. Chain him again and spend your life as his warden, or find another way. She smiled sadly. I couldn't choose. I hope you're stronger than I was. Then she was gone, vanished like morning mist, and Selena collapsed into Caspian's arms. Her wolf was singing inside her. And the first alpha was laughing in the darkness below. Tomorrow, little Locke. Tomorrow we meet. And then everything changes. Selena shifted for the first time at midnight. She didn't mean to. Didn't plan it. But her wolf was awake now, truly awake, and it wanted out. Wanted to run, to hunt, to finally exist after 18 years of being locked away. The transformation hurt less than she'd expected. Her bones rearranged themselves with a sound like breaking ice, and then she was on 4 legs, silver fur gleaming in the moonlight streaming through her window. She was beautiful, powerful, whole. Through their bond, she felt Caspian wake, felt his shock and then his joy as he realized what had happened. He found her in the manor's garden, standing perfectly still, breathing in a world that smelled completely different through wolf senses. Everything was sharper, clearer, more Caspian shifted too. His wolf was midnight black with ice blue eyes and approached carefully. "You're magnificent," his wolf said in the pack speech that needed no words. "I can't believe it's real," Selena's wolf responded, and her voice was younger, wilder than her human one. "I thought I'd never feel this. How does it feel?" "Like coming home." They ran together until dawn, through the forests surrounding the manor, past sleeping territories, under stars that had never looked so bright. And for a few hours, Selena forgot about the first alpha, about breaking seals and impossible choices. She was just a wolf, running free. But dawn brought reality crashing back. The mountain was screaming. Not literally, but Selena could feel it through the connection, could feel the seals shattering one by one, could feel him waking fully for the first time in 200 years. "It's happening," she said, human again, standing in Myra's study with Caspian and his mother. "Faster than I thought." "The seals won't last until sunset." "How long?" Myra asked. Selena closed her eyes, reaching through the connection. "Hours. Maybe less." "Then we need a plan," Caspian said. "The council is mobilizing every alpha they can reach. They're going to converge on that mountain and try to contain him when he breaks free." "They'll die," Selena said flatly. "All of them. He's too strong, too old, too everything," Myra finished. "So, what's the alternative?" "We let him walk free." "No." Selena's jaw set. "I go there. Alone. I meet him when he rises, and she paused, searching for words. "I talk to him." "Talk to him." Caspian's expression was incredulous. "Selena, he's not going to just chat. He's going to try to kill everyone who kept him imprisoned." "Maybe," Selena admitted. "Or maybe he'll listen to the one person he's been talking to for days. The one person who's carrying his power, who understands what it's like to be rejected and cast aside and told you're wrong for existing." She looked up. "I'm not saying I'll free him from all consequences. But maybe there's a middle ground. Something between sealing him forever and letting him destroy everything." "What middle ground?" Myra asked carefully. Selena took a breath. "The blood bond. If it worked with Caspian, if it can create a connection strong enough to resist his influence, what if I formed one with him?" The room fell silent. "You want to bond with the first alpha," Caspian said slowly. "The most dangerous wolf in history." "I want to chain him differently," Selena corrected. "Not with silver and stone, but with choice. With connection." She looked between them. "My grandmother spent 60 years fighting him. Resisting him. Dying to keep him contained. But what if the prison wasn't the solution? What if the answer is integration? Making him part of something instead of locking him away from everything?" "That's insane," Myra breathed. "But it might actually work. A blood bond requires consent from both parties. Which means he'd have to choose to be bound to you. And if he refuses? Then I use the backup plan." Selena's expression hardened. "The moon showed me something when she unlocked my wolf. Showed me the words of binding, the original seal. If I speak them, if I channel everything I have, my wolf, my power, my connection to him, I can remake the prison. Seal him again, stronger than before." "For how long?" "Forever." Selena's voice was hollow. "But it would kill me. Burn through my life force the way it did my grandmother's, but faster. Days instead of decades." "No," Caspian said immediately. "Absolutely not. We'll find another way." "There is no other way." Selena looked at him, let him feel her determination through their bond. "Either I offer him a choice, a bond that ties him to me, that gives him connection instead of isolation, or I seal him and die. Those are the options." "Then we go with option one," Caspian said. "We try the bond. And if it doesn't work?" "If it doesn't work, you get everyone to safety while I buy time," Selena finished. "But Caspian, you have to promise me. If it comes down to it, if he won't accept the bond, you have to let me finish this. Don't try to stop me. Don't try to save me. I can't promise that. You have to." Selena gripped his hand, their matching blood bond scars pressing together. "Because if he breaks free without any constraint, He'll kill thousands. Maybe more. And I won't have died just to live through that. After a long moment, Caspian nodded. But through their bond, Selena felt his lie. He would try to save her anyway. Would sacrifice anything to keep her alive. She just had to make sure he never got the chance. Selena returned to the mountain alone. The council wanted to send guards, wanted to surround the place with alphas and containment teams. But Selena refused. This needed to be between her and him. No witnesses. No interference. The house looked different in daylight, smaller, sadder, like it knew its purpose was ending. The journals were still scattered everywhere, but Selena didn't read them now. She'd absorbed everything they had to teach. She stood in the circle, pressed her palms to the warm floor, and waited. "You came back," his voice said, surprised and pleased. "I thought you'd run. Thought you'd let your council try to bury me again." "I almost did," Selena admitted. "But running won't solve this. And neither will fighting." "What will then?" "A choice." Selena took a breath. "When you break free, and you will, I can feel the last seals cracking. You'll have unlimited power. Centuries of accumulated strength, no chains to hold you back. You could destroy everything in your path. Is that what you think I'll do?" "I think you're angry. I think you're hurt. I think 200 years is a long time to be alone with your rage." She paused. "But I also think you're not just a monster. Because monsters don't talk the way you talk to me. Don't see me the way you see me." Silence. "Then, what are you offering, Little Lock?" "A bond. Not a seal, not a prison, a connection. Blood bond like I formed with Caspian. It would tie us together permanently. You'd feel what I feel. I'd feel what you feel. And neither of us could hurt the other without hurting ourselves." "You want to leash me?" "I want to give you what you've never had," Selena corrected. "True connection. Not wolves following out of fear or compulsion, but one person choosing to stand with you. To share your power and your burden. And in return, you don't destroy the world. You don't take revenge on the council or the Pax or the moon herself. You let go of the past," and Selena swallowed hard. "And you help me figure out what comes next. For both of us." Another long silence. "You're asking me to trust you. I'm asking you to trust that there's another way. That you don't have to be alone anymore." "What if I like being alone?" "You don't," Selena said softly. "I can feel it through the connection. Feel how lonely you've been, how much you've wanted someone to understand. You talk to me because I'm the first person in 200 years who's listened without judgment. Who saw power in me when everyone else saw failure. That's what you want, to be seen. To be valued. To matter to someone. And you'll be that someone? Even knowing what I am? What I've done?" "I don't know what you've done," Selena said honestly. "Only what others say you've done. And I know better than anyone that others lie." She pressed her palms harder against the floor. "So yes, I'll be that someone. If you let me." The mountain groaned, a sound like the earth itself was in pain. "The last seal is breaking," he said. "In minutes, I'll be free. And you'll have your answer." "Promise me something first," Selena said. "What?" "Promise you won't hurt anyone until you've heard me out completely. Face to face, without walls between us. Give me 5 minutes before you decide what to do." 5 minutes, he mused. "That's all you want? Not submission, not servitude, just 5 minutes of my time?" "Yes." "Very well. 5 minutes. But Little Lock, if you're lying, if this is a trick." "It's not." "Then I suppose we'll see." The floor exploded. The house shattered like glass. Selena dove aside as the floor erupted upward, not breaking, but unmaking itself, wood and stone dissolving into dust as something massive rose from below. The circle blazed white-hot, then shattered, releasing 200 years of compressed power in a shockwave that leveled trees for half a mile. And then he was there. Standing in the ruins of her grandmother's house, silver chains falling away from his body like broken spider silk, the first alpha opened his eyes for the first time in 2 centuries and breathed. He was beautiful. Terrible, yes. Dangerous, absolutely. But beautiful in the way natural disasters are beautiful, raw power given form, ancient and vast and completely outside human judgment. He stood 7 feet tall in his half-shifted form, the war form that was neither fully human nor fully wolf, but something in between. His skin was marked with silver scars where the chains had grown into him, intricate patterns that glowed faintly in the morning light. His hair was long, dark, wild as a storm. And his eyes. Those eyes were molten gold, burning with intelligence and hunger and something else. Something that looked almost like wonder. He looked at Selina. "You're real," his voice rumbled, not in her mind now, but spoken aloud, resonant and deep. "I thought perhaps I'd imagined you. A dream to pass the centuries." "I'm real," Selina said, forcing herself to stand despite her knees shaking. "And you promised me 5 minutes." His smile was sharp. "So I did." He stepped forward, moving with fluid grace despite 200 years of immobility. "Speak, little Locke. Tell me why I shouldn't burn this world to ash." "Because burning things is easy," Selina said. "And you're not easy. You're complicated and brilliant and yes, angry, but you're not just destruction waiting to happen. You're a person who is hurt and sealed away and forgotten." She took a breath. "So instead of revenge, I'm offering you something else. A bond. Connection. A chance to be part of something again instead of standing against everything." He studied her, his expression unreadable. "The blood bond." "Yes. You'd tie yourself to me. Permanently. Despite knowing I could destroy you with a thought. You won't." So confident. He circled her slowly, predatory but not threatening. "Why? Because you've had weeks to hurt me and you haven't. Because you warned me when Julian was following. Because you told me I was strong when everyone else told me I was broken." Selina turned to keep him in her sight. "You're not a monster. You're just alone. And I understand that better than anyone." He stopped moving, something flickering across his face, pain, maybe, or recognition. "The moon called it mercy," he said softly. "Sealing me instead of killing me. But it was cruelty disguised as love. Because she left me conscious. Left me aware. 200 years of darkness, unable to move, unable to speak, with nothing but my thoughts and my rage and my—" He broke off. "Your what?" Selina asked gently. "My regret." The admission seemed torn from him. "I tried to unite the packs. Yes. I used force. Yes. I bent alphas to my will because they wouldn't listen to reason, wouldn't see that we were destroying ourselves with endless territorial wars." His hands clenched. "But I never wanted to be a god. I just wanted to save us. And she punished me for caring too much." Selina's throat tightened. "So prove her wrong. Prove you learned from it. Accept the bond and show everyone, that you can be more than what they feared." "And if I refuse? If I want my freedom without conditions?" "Then I seal you again," Selina said, and showed him the words the moon had given her, let him see them in her mind, burning like brands. "And I die doing it. And you spend another 200 years alone, knowing you could have chosen differently." His eyes widened. "You'd die to stop me? To save everyone else?" "Yes. Even though they marked you. Cast you out. Told you that you were worthless." "They were wrong about me," Selina said. "Just like the moon was wrong about you. And I won't let their mistakes define what happens next." He stared at her, and something in those ancient gold eyes cracked open. "You mean it? You'd actually give me a choice? Not demand, not trap, but offer?" "Yes. No one has offered me a choice in 200 years." His voice went rough with emotion. "Everyone just decided for me. What I should be, what I should want, how I should change. The moon, the council, your grandmother, all of them so certain they knew best." "I don't know what's best," Selina admitted. "But I know what it's like to have others decide for you. And I won't do that to you." He closed the distance between them in 2 strides and took her face in his hands carefully, like she was something precious. "You fascinating, infuriating, impossible girl. Do you have any idea what you're asking for? A partnership. Between equals. I am the first alpha. There are no equals. There are now." Selina held his gaze. "Because I can seal you or free you. I can speak your name or bind it. That makes us equal, whether you like it or not." He laughed, actually laughed, surprised and delighted. The moon was right. "You are nothing like your grandmother." His thumbs brushed her cheeks. "Very well. I accept your bond. I choose connection over isolation. I choose you, little Locke." Relief flooded through Selena so powerfully it made her dizzy. "Truly? Truly." He released her and held out his hand, palm already bleeding, opened with one of his own claws. "Blood calls to blood. Life calls to life. Let's see what we become together." Selena pressed her scarred palm, still marked from the bond with Caspian, to his. The power that erupted made the earlier shockwave look like a candle flame. Light exploded outward, silver and gold entwined, ancient moon magic and first alpha power binding together in ways that shouldn't be possible. Selena screamed as the connection slammed home, as she felt everything he was, 200 years of memory, power, emotion, flooding into her consciousness. But he was feeling her too. Feeling 18 years of rejection, pain, determination. Feeling her wolf singing its joy. Feeling her absolute conviction that this could work. The light faded. They stood together in the ruins, hands joined, blood mixing between their palms. And Selena could feel him now, not just in her mind, but in her bones. In her soul. A presence so vast it should have overwhelmed her, should have crushed her completely. But it didn't. Because he was holding back. Deliberately. Carefully. Making space for her inside the bond instead of consuming everything. "There," he said, and his voice shook slightly. "It's done. We're bound. You and I, little Locke." "My name is Selena," she said. Selena. He tested it, tasting each syllable. Selena Johansson. The last guardian. The lock and the key. His smile turned wondering. "My anchor. And you are?" "Kieran." The name felt old, powerful, hidden for so long he'd almost forgotten it himself. "Kieran Shaw. The first alpha. You're bound." Thunder rolled across the sky, the moon herself watching, judging. But the lightning didn't strike. And slowly, carefully, Kieran raised Selena's hand to his lips and kissed the blood bond scar. "Thank you," he whispered. "For seeing me. For choosing this." "Thank you for accepting it," Selena responded. "Now, let's figure out how to convince everyone else this wasn't insane." Kieran's laugh was wild and bright. "Oh, little Locke, Selena, that's going to be the fun part." In the distance, Selena could feel the council approaching, dozens of alphas converging on the mountain, ready for war. But she wasn't afraid anymore. Because she wasn't alone. She had Caspian through one bond, Kieran through another, and her own wolf singing inside her. And together, they would face whatever came next. The council found them standing in the ruins, covered in dust and blood and power. Marcus Thorne was the first to arrive, his pack spreading out in defensive positions, weapons drawn, every wolf ready to fight. His eyes went wide when he saw Kieran standing free, when he felt the sheer magnitude of power radiating from the first alpha. "Get back!" Marcus roared at Selena. "Get away from him before." "Before what?" Selena asked calmly. Through her bond with Kieran, she could feel his amusement at Marcus's fear. "Before he hurts me? He won't." "You don't know that." "I do, actually." Selena held up her hand, showing the fresh blood bond scar. "We're bound. Permanently. Neither of us can hurt the other without destroying ourselves." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled wolves. Julian pushed forward, his face twisted with fury. "You bonded with him?" "With the most dangerous." "Careful," Kieran said mildly, but his eyes blazed gold. "I'm feeling more charitable than usual, but insult my anchor and we'll have problems." "Your anchor?" Marcus looked between them. "That's not blood bonds don't work that way with." "With the first alpha?" Kieran smiled. "No, they don't. Usually. But your Selena is unusual. She carries moon-blessed power, my own accumulated strength, and a will strong enough to stand between the two of us." He looked at her, and his expression softened. "She offered me a choice. The first real choice I've had in 2 centuries. So I chose her. Caspian appeared at the edge of the clearing, relief flooding through their bond when he saw Selena alive and whole. You actually did it, he breathed. You bound him. We bound each other, Selena corrected. Kieran, this is Caspian. My other bloodbound. Caspian, meet Kieran. Try not to kill each other. The two alphas studied each other, Caspian young and fierce, Kieran ancient and devastating. The territorial instinct should have made them enemies immediately. But through Selena, they felt each other's connection to her. Felt how both bonds were real, strong, essential. Well, Caspian said finally. This is going to be complicated. Understatement, Kieran agreed. But his tone held respect. You helped her survive. Gave her strength when she had none. I won't forget that. And you gave her the truth when everyone else gave her lies, Caspian responded. So I suppose we're even. Now what? Mira demanded, arriving with the rest of the council elders. The seals are broken. The first alpha is free. What's to stop him from? Me, Selena said simply. I stop him. And he stops me from making stupid decisions. That's how bonds work, right? Balance. The head elder, the ancient woman with milky eyes, stepped forward. She studied Selena and Kieran for a long moment, then did something no one expected. She laughed. The moon always was a romantic, she said. Sealing her greatest love instead of destroying him. Leaving bloodlines to guard him. Waiting for someone brave enough or foolish enough to find another solution. Her gaze sharpened on Selena. You've made yourself the chain, girl. The living binding. If he goes too far, it will kill you both. I know, Selena said. And you accept that? I accept that it's better than the alternatives. Selena looked around at the assembled council. My grandmother spent 60 years dying to keep him sealed. 46 women before her did the same. But seals don't last forever. And death shouldn't be the only answer to power we don't understand. So, what do you propose? Marcus asked. Integration, Kieran said, stepping forward. Several wolves backed away instinctively. Let me work with the packs instead of against them. I have 200 years of knowledge about pack dynamics, territorial management, conflict resolution. And domination, Julian interrupted. Yes, Kieran agreed without shame. I dominated alphas who wouldn't listen to reason. But I've had 2 centuries to reconsider my methods. And Selena has made it clear that forcing compliance isn't acceptable. His smile was sharp. So I'll try asking nicely this time. And if that doesn't work, we figure it out together, Selena finished. The 3 of us. Kieran brings wisdom and power, Caspian brings territory and resources, and I bring the ability to tell them both when they're being idiots, Mira said dryly. Which will be often. Despite the tension, several wolves laughed. The head elder studied them for another long moment, then nodded. Very well. The council will observe. For now. But know this, first alpha, 1 violation, 1 act of unprovoked aggression, and we will destroy you. Bond or no bond. Fair enough, Kieran said. Though I should warn you, I'm very good at provoked aggression. That's not helping, Selena muttered. The council withdrew slowly, leaving guards posted around the ruined mountain. But the immediate threat had passed. No one was attacking. No one was dying. It was, Selena thought, the best possible outcome given the circumstances. 3 months later, Selena stood in the newly rebuilt house on the mountain, no longer a prison, but a home. She'd kept her grandmother's journals, organized them properly, even started adding her own entries. Not apologies, like Celeste had written. Just observations. Records of what it was like to be bound to 2 powerful alphas while learning to be an alpha herself. Because she was one now. Her wolf was fully awakened, and the combination of moon blessing, first alpha power, and her own stubborn will had made her something unprecedented, a female. Alpha with authority that even territorial leaders respected. You're thinking too loud, Kieran said from the doorway. He'd taken to wearing modern clothes, mostly to make others more comfortable, but his presence was still overwhelming. I can feel your anxiety through the bond. I'm not anxious. I'm processing. Selena closed the journal. A year ago, I was a rejected Omega with no wolf and no future. Now you're the most powerful wolf in 3 territories, Caspian finished, appearing beside Kieran. The two of them had formed an unlikely friendship over the months, bonding over their shared exasperation with council politics and their shared connection to Selena. How does it feel? Weird, Selena admitted. Good weird, but weird. Get used to it, Kieran advised, moving to sit beside her. Power doesn't go away just because you're uncomfortable with it. I know. It's just, Selena looked at her hands, at the 2 blood bond scars that marked her palms. I keep waiting for someone to realize this was a mistake. That I'm not actually strong enough for this. Stop that, Caspian said firmly. You commanded 6 alphas to their knees before you even had your wolf. You stood alone against the council. You offered a blood bond to the most dangerous wolf in history and made him accept it on your terms. He took her hand. You're strong enough. You've always been strong enough. Through their bonds, Selena felt both Kieran and Caspian's absolute conviction. Their belief in her. And slowly, carefully, she let herself believe it too. Okay, she said. Okay. So what's next? Next, we finish rebuilding the territories, Kieran said. Establish new pack laws that actually make sense. Maybe convince the council that I'm not going to eat them. That last one's going to be hard, Caspian said. You have terrible people skills. I have excellent people skills. People just don't like what I say. That's called bad people skills. Selena laughed, bright and genuine. You two are impossible. You bound us, they said in unison, then glared at each other. Stop that, Selena said. It's creepy when you sync up. But she was smiling. Because this strange, complicated, unprecedented situation was hers. Her pack, her bonds, her future. The pack that had rejected her sent an official apology 3 weeks ago. Her sister had written separately, trying to explain. Declan, the alpha she'd once loved, had requested a meeting. Selena burned all 3 messages. She was done looking backward. Done letting others' mistakes define her. Done being small to make others comfortable. She was Selena Johansson. Guardian. Alpha. Anchor to the first alpha and bloodbound to a territorial leader. She was powerful and strange and entirely herself. And she was, finally, home. Hey there, beautiful souls. If you made it all the way through Selena's journey, wow. Thank you. Thank you for being here, for believing that rejected, broken things can become powerful. For understanding that sometimes the answer isn't fighting or fleeing, but standing your ground and demanding better. Selena went from being carved up and cast out to being the most powerful wolf in 3 territories. She took everything they said she couldn't be and made it hers. That's the kind of story I love telling, and I hope it inspired something in you too. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, drop a comment telling me what you thought of this story, and let me know where you're watching from. Are you Team Caspian or Team Kieran? Do you think Selena made the right choice? I want to hear everything. Until next time, remember, you're stronger than anyone ever told you. Even the people who should have believed in you first. Especially them. I'll see you in the next story, beautiful souls. Take care of yourselves.